So now that I've gone over the descriptions of the four Brahma Viharas, I'm going to enrich this series by explaining some more incentives for developing them, some of which come from the suttas themselves. And one sutta in particular that's meant for this is the Metta Nisama, or the 11 benefits of loving kindness. Now, in spite of the title, you can expect that these benefits will arise when practicing any of these higher emotions, not just metta, or the loving kindness, the beginning aspect, but also for compassion and sympathetic joy, and the rest. So, in a way, these benefits offer a measure of whether your practice is going well as well. So, whether you are truly developing these Brahma Viharas deeply enough for the benefits to arise. And this is a short sutta. This has a interesting emphasis. And the Buddha addresses the monks. At that time, monks and nuns were developing these Brahma Viharas of metta and the others as well. But it's important to not assume that monastics were practicing only for nirvana or doing purely insight meditation. They were cultivating this emotional center, this higher emotional center. So this is a central part of Buddhist teaching, especially Theravada. It should not be overlooked. So here the Buddha addresses the monks and says that there are 11 benefits of loving kindness that arise from the emancipation of the heart. The sutta says, "Thus have I heard, at one time the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's grove, Anathapindika's monastery. There he addressed the monks, 'Monks!' 'Venerable sir,' they replied. The Buddha said this, 'Monks, for one whose heart's release by loving kindness is cultivated, developed, practiced, made a vehicle of, and a basis, kept up, consolidated, and properly implemented, 11 benefits can be expected.' What 11? One sleeps at ease. One wakes up happily. One does not have bad dreams. One is dear to human beings. One is dear to non-human beings. Deities protect one. Neither fire nor poison nor weapons can harm one. One's mind quickly enters immersion. One's facial expression is clear and bright. One dies unconfused. If one penetrates no higher, one is reborn in a Brahma world.' So these are the 11 benefits that can be expected for one whose heart's release by loving kindness is cultivated, developed, practiced, made a vehicle and a basis of, kept up, consolidated, and properly implemented." That is what the Buddha said. The monks were satisfied and delighted to hear his words. So, this is not a hobby by any means. The perfection of these super-conscious states requires full commitment. It's our goal to make this higher emotional range our natural state of consciousness. The suttas intend that you fully embody them. It's a moment-to-moment immersion, and it extends into sleep because it's your state of mind, your constant state of consciousness. So we have to repeat it often and deepen it continuously, persistently. And well-practiced here also means practiced skillfully. In earlier talks, I explained that there's imaginative exercises to help develop these states. You want to stay away from these more dry formulas, like "May I be well," "May all beings be happy." And you don't want it to be too repetitive. These can turn into meaningless words unless you like the traditional means, but you can make it your own, and you can find music in it. You can find a vibration to it. You can find resonance. You can find a melody. You can use melody and music. You can use images and memories and phrases that stimulate the initial experience of these states. And once that experience of these higher emotions arises, then you can develop them further. You can enhance them, amplify them, and sustain them. See whether you can dwell in it for an entire day, beginning in the morning, the moment you wake up, or after your dream retrospection, or as you're doing that, try to cultivate this before getting out of bed. And this is actually an excellent time to practice, because for many people, mornings are difficult. You're half asleep and facing the day ahead. So it's a kindness to yourself to let these qualities arise first thing in the morning. It's like a bird that flies in and rests on your chest. This practice is total immersion. It's lifelong. I can't emphasize how complete it's meant to be. So here are the benefits that are said to be expected. I mentioned them, it was already mentioned in the sutta. One sleeps well. Even if this were the only benefit, it would be very profound. It would be enough, because a lot of people struggle to fall asleep and stay asleep or get a restorative rest. And poor sleep is a pretty legitimate form of suffering. I remember when I was an insomniac, I would regularly spend sometimes 3 hours, at least, I can't remember if it was, I think that's average actually, 3 hours to fall asleep. And then sometimes I'd even wake up and I wouldn't be able to go back to sleep. This was every second night, because the next night I'd be tired enough to fall asleep, usually, but not all the time. And this went on for years, so I wasted time, and it's difficult. A good night's rest is deeply healing, and loving kindness supports this. You wake up well, and it follows with naturally from sleeping well, right? When you wake up refreshed, you can consciously return to these practices easier. And equanimity also brings the same benefits. You don't have nightmares. So the first three benefits all relate to sleep, actually. That's a kind of sleep factor. First is the rest of sleep itself. The next is the restoration and renewal that it brings. Then third is the content of your dreams. This is extremely important. When you steep yourself in these wholesome emotions, they resolve fear and confusion and disharmony in the mind. So they clear up a lot of clutter, or they keep you away from your own mind's clutter. They keep you from your egos, your subconsciousness, which tends to be much of the manifestation of the junk in our dreams, all the strange people and beings, things that are harassing us or chasing us, are usually our own egos of pride and anger and other conditions and preferences. But by staying in these emotions, well, not to mention that dreams are very fragmented too, and they can be disturbing or frightening. So we stay in a higher vibration. We are not necessarily eliminating those egos, but we're keeping away from them. We're in a higher dimension because it's a higher emotional state. So, and of course, this reflects the waking mind as well. This is all kind of the same plane here. It doesn't matter if you're asleep or awake, you're in the same world psychologically. Dreams are not separate from the physical world. So rather than analyzing dreams, however, the practice changes their content through conscious effort during waking life. Loving kindness has to be deep enough to reach the unconscious and transform the dream mind. Another benefit, the next set of benefits, is that one becomes affectionate toward human beings. And this, of course, is no surprise. A person who is full of metta and compassion and sympathetic joy is by nature warm towards others. So people respond to that. Animals do as well. Someone who enters a maximum security prison with sincere goodwill is far less likely to experience violence than someone who doesn't embody those qualities. All beings respond to loving kindness to some degree. You become affectionate toward humans and creatures, anything that is alive. You appreciate their state of, the fact that they're a living being. And so similar. And so anyone who has lived with animals knows how sensitive they are to our tone of voice and our movement and our intention. They immediately sense whether someone is aggressive or friendly. And so it's great to have this quality because they can sense you coming and they don't fear you as much. Now, as well, it's stated that the deities protect you. So this is a part of Buddhist cosmology. In modern psychology, you don't, of course, hear this. You don't hear consideration of the devas because much of the psychology doesn't have dimensions. Some of it does, maybe, but some of it doesn't. So this aspect is ignored, but in traditional Buddhism, it includes the heavens, includes other worlds. So the devas, the gods, they're said to protect you when you are vibrating high enough. It's similar to invoking them with mantras, but I guess they recognize the resonance. They're resonating with you. You're coming closer to their level. They can help you easier that way. And so you can explore this personally. You can test this yourself to really know. This is intuitive knowledge, and it's not part of something that we learn about in modern subjects. So you have to understand it pragmatically through your own experience. You don't learn about this in any kind of psychology class or philosophy. A little bit in philosophy, but not very much. And it says, the sutta says, neither fire nor weapons nor poisons harm one. And this much of the suttas can be taken literally. There is some protection. When you have a high vibration, you are safer. You are less likely to attract negativity and stay in a positive plane. So you are, to some extent, protected in the physical world. But it's also certain that this state is protecting you from the other poisons, the three poisons, the mental poisons that actually drive the wheel of samsara, which are desire, aversion, and ignorance or delusion. So one is protected from these fundamental perpetuation states, perpetuation of suffering states. So they won't penetrate the mind with these supra emotions. Anger can be experienced as cool rather than hot or burning. Weapons of anger and the poisons of desire no longer strike. The Brahma Vihara are emotions of sanity. They're demonstrations of sanity. The best thoughts you'll ever have arise from a heart that is grounded in loving kindness. Do not try to compose your life through your intellect alone. That is very superficial. People think through our modern psychology studies and philosophy that it's very high practice to be intellectual, that it's a high and subtle form of pleasure. It's better than the crude pleasures, and it is higher and more subtle than crude pleasures like materialism and taste and things, the sense pleasures. But it is nonetheless superficial. It abides in the astral plane. The intellect lives on the astral and the mental plane. It's endless. It's delusional. It doesn't see the truth, right? When you're in the mental plane, you can think whatever you want. You can analyze and compare. But if you're not equanimous and you're not in samadhi, then you don't really see things for how they are. You don't see the truth. You just see things intellectually as a matter of fact. And that's very cold. It's superficial. There isn't an emotion to it. There's no compassion either. There's just there's understanding, but there's no comprehension. So clear and wise thought always rests on harmonious emotions from the heart. And with these states, those thoughts and speech follow accordingly. And this shows how loving kindness supports other meditation practices, because if you can't settle the mind through breath meditation, for example, you can try turning to loving kindness first. That can be easier. Your countenance is serene. Your face even responds subtly to emotion, right? There are sensitive micro expressions and muscles that sense these emotions, and you can see them shining on the face. The expression changes, and that's what it says in the sutta. One's face is smiling or something like that, or serene. And one dies without confusion. This is, of course, fundamental to Buddhist practice. It's crucial. Fear disappears when love is present. So we should not wait until the end of our life to cultivate this. We should start as early as we can, so that in the moment of death, there's no confusion nor fear. And the suttas say that if one does not attain nirvana, one is reborn in the highest heavens, if these states are perfected. So this is the consolation of loving kindness. And just going back to death, because you never know, we really have no certainty about it. We can't guarantee when we'll die. We can only guarantee these basic processes: birth, decay, and death. So at some point, everything has to end. We should train as soon as possible. It's a beautiful list. So I encourage you to memorize it and reflect on it. You can examine it in meditation too, through analytical meditation, analyzing, seeing the beauty of these states or the essence of these in meditation